Hey y'all, welcome to a new What's for Dinner. So, I'm going to be starting off this week with some fried pork chops. I'm going to be trying out this new breading mix. It's a newer company called But That Chicken. They have a hot and spicy version as well as a regular, just seasoned one. For my kids' sake, I just went with the regular one, but I'm so looking forward to trying out the spicy in the near future. But they have all of the directions listed very well on the back, and then at the bottom, here is all of their socials as well as their website. And I will also write this out in my description box. But yeah, you can order this on their website if you're interested in trying it out. And I will, of course, let you know here in a little bit what we thought about it. So the first thing I'm going to do is measure out some of this mix into my shallow bowl. Then I'm just adding some water to it and I'm going to whisk it together. And all of this is on the back of that package. So super easy. This is going to kind of act like the egg wash that you would normally use when frying something. Then to a separate bowl, I'm just going to kind of eyeball how much mix I thought that I needed for 4 pork chops. And I did a pretty darn good job. There was barely any left over, which made me proud because I hate wasting anything. As you can see, the color of that mix, it does have a nice like orangey seasoned color look. And I'm just going to season both sides with this Zatarain's, probably saying that wrong, but the blackened seasoning. No matter how seasoned a breading mix is, I always recommend to season your meat as well. It makes a difference. And you could, of course, use any seasoning you want to. I honestly just pulled the first thing that was there when I opened my spice cabinet, and it's been a while since I've used that one. But I'm just going to roll that around in the wet mixture first, and then I'm just going to roll it around in the dry mix, making sure that every little bit is covered, including the sides of the pork chop. And I just repeated that process until they were all nice and coated. And I don't think that I mentioned it. You can probably tell, but these are bone-in pork chops. I think they fry up a lot nicer than like the boneless kind, and they have a lot more flavor. But yeah, so I've already got my vegetable oil heated up on my stove. It's important to have your oil hot and ready before you drop in anything. That will help to ensure that nothing like falls apart like you're breading, and just for everything to cook evenly. And I like to keep my heat about medium high, and I never have any trouble. So these took about 3 to 4 minutes per side to cook up, and you'll know when they're ready to flip because they'll look really nice and golden and crispy. And I was having a little bit of trouble here. I was trying to be extra careful with this skillet. This is my favorite skillet, and I didn't want to put a scratch on it with a fork. And in my experience, I don't like using tongs when I'm frying stuff because sometimes it can kind of tear up the breading, and I don't fry foods all that often. So when I do it, I want to get it right. I want it to be as perfect as it can possibly be. So I try to take my time. And yeah, but look at how gorgeous that looks. And y'all, come on, that looks incredible. Just the color, you can just tell it's super crispy and juicy on the inside. I was so impressed. And y'all, I'm not even exaggerating. This breading mix was absolutely incredible. The flavor was out of this world. I just know that no matter what I try to do, I do not think that I can recreate this flavor. So I highly, highly recommend this breading mix. I'm so looking forward to trying this out on all the things. I mean, anything that has breading on it, you can use this mix for. So if you decide to give them a try, let them know I sent you through their Instagram. Next up is some Doritos taco salads, or salad, I should say. So I did a Walmart grocery pickup, which I don't do that often, and the lettuce that I ordered usually comes like filled to the top and makes several salads. I don't know what happened, but there was like barely any lettuce in here. It was super weird. Like these are all the ends that were like brown and nasty that I just chopped off. But yeah, like what's in this basket is literally all that was in that package. So it was only enough to make Josh a taco salad, which is fine. This is one of his favorite meals and he's been asking for it. And the kids and I just had some regular tacos and we were all happy. So yeah, I whipped out the fancy wooden bowl for this. It's the same one I breaded the pork chops in, and I promise I washed it very, very well and let it air dry overnight. But here, I'm just adding some regular old taco meat, just some ground beef, and a package of Great Value taco seasoning. And then I'm adding some shredded cheese on the top, and the key ingredient here is some Doritos. I like to just add some to like a Ziploc bag and crush it up and throw it on top. I normally add tomatoes, but those went bad as well, really quick. A lot of things were going wrong, but it all worked out in the end. And I know this is going to gross out some people, but Josh likes it with mayonnaise. That is what his mom has always done, and it grossed me out at first too, but I have tried it before and it's actually pretty good. But personally, when I do this, I like to top it with either ranch or some Catalina dressing, but yeah. So I wanted to show off this cup. This is one of the Christmas gifts that I got for Josh last year. I ordered it off of Shutterfly, and he absolutely loves it. So yeah, if you need a gift idea, there you go. I have been craving some tomato soup and grilled cheese for forever. It's a great staple meal, and it's something that I like to always keep the ingredients on hand when I don't know what I want to eat. So the Cozy Cook just posted her new recipe for homemade tomato soup, and I immediately put it on my meal plan. I thought that it looked and sounded amazing, and she's never steered me wrong before. I absolutely love her recipes. So I started by melting down some butter in my Dutch oven, and I sauteed in some carrots until they started to get soft. And I'm just throwing in some Italian seasoning, some dried basil, some dried mustard powder, and some minced garlic. And she actually cooks in a whole onion and cooks that until it caramelizes. But if you're new here, I don't like onions. I despise them, but do whatever you want to here. But yeah, so I took y'all's advice and I froze some leftover tomato paste, and it worked out great. It popped out so easy and melted down quick. And as you can see, it's just coating all of those vegetables, well, the carrots, I should say, and it's going to help prevent that garlic from burning. And here is where I ran into some trouble, and it's my own fault. I have never cooked with white wine before, and I don't drink wine, so it didn't even occur to me that I'm going to have to get that cork out. So I spared y'all some time, but this was like almost an hour difference. I had to go to Instagram, and so many of you guys helped me out on how to get that out without a cork, and I just really appreciate that. Y'all saved me here, but yeah, so I just threw that on in the pot. My heat's on about medium, and I'm going to let that cook down for a few minutes, and that's going to help get all of that stuff off the bottom and, release all that flavor. As you can see, it's thickened really nicely and it's reduced. So now all I got to do is throw in a couple cans of diced tomatoes and 3 cups of chicken broth. And then I just whipped out my immersion blender and I blended everything until it was nice and smooth. I spared y'all that footage. That was a hot mess. I'm pretty sure there's still tomato soup on my ceiling, and the sounds that blender was making, that cannot be normal. I don't know, but I really don't like when I have to use that thing, but it got the job done. And there I just threw in some onion powder, and I let this simmer for 30 minutes. Here it is after the 30 minutes. All I have left to do is to add in a little bit of heavy cream at room temperature, and just look at that swirl. It's the little things, y'all, that make me happy. And once again, this just brings me all the fall vibes, and that just warms my heart. But I just think this color is gorgeous, and I love that consistency. This soup was delicious. I have made a homemade tomato soup once before, and it was good, but it wasn't great. Let me tell you, this recipe is great, and I'm just so glad to have it in my little recipe box now. And of course, I have my grilled cheese, but it's not just any grilled cheese. This is a pimento cheese grilled cheese, and I will be sharing that recipe in a lunchbox video here in a couple days, so be on the lookout. And I, of course, couldn't end this clip without giving you the dip. Next is one of the easiest meals on the planet, and that is turkey clubs. So I just toasted up a couple pieces of Texas toast, and I'm just going to add a thin layer of mayo to both slices of bread. Here's the turkey I bought. I got it cut at the Walmart deli, and it is the oven roasted one, and I always like to ask for it shaved most of the time. I think that it just tastes so much better. Josh agrees, and the kids, so if you haven't tried that before, trust me. So now I'm just going to add down a piece of cheese and then some bacon. And yes, I just went with the already cooked microwave kind, and there's no shame in that whatsoever. We like it. This was one of those days that we spent all day school shopping, and I was tired. So I was taking all the shortcuts, and that's okay. So I just added a couple slices of tomato. I always season them with salt and pepper. It makes it a lot better. And then I picked up some more lettuce at Walmart, and it turns out I did order the wrong kind, but I still don't think that excuses the fact that the other package was like half empty, but whatever, we've moved on. So anyways, I took some toothpicks to secure the sandwich, and I took a sharp knife and sliced it down the middle, and that was it. So quick and so good. You just can't go wrong. And I just served it with some tater tots that I threw in the oven, one of my kids' favorite sides, and pretty random, but I just opened up a random can of pears, and the kids also really enjoyed that too. Now on to the last meal of the week that I made. We have some chicken Alfredo, and this is hands down one of my all-time favorite meals ever. So I just took 2 boneless chicken breasts and sliced them in half to make thinner pieces, and I seasoned it with some seasoning salt, garlic and onion powder, and some chili powder. I know the chili powder is not too traditional in chicken Alfredo, but I love what it adds. And I'm melting down a half a stick of butter. I know someone's going to say, oh, that's a lot of butter. And yeah, it is, but normally when I make Alfredo sauce, homemade, that recipe calls for a full stick of butter. So this is my first time experimenting with cutting that down, and I'm glad I did. It was just as good, so I'll definitely be doing that from now on. So I just got my chicken added in that skillet once it was hot, and I cooked it for about 5 to 6 minutes on each side, and then I removed it to a separate plate. You're going to want to leave all of that goodness in the skillet, all of the seasonings and the butter and the brown bits. That is what's going to add so much flavor to your Alfredo sauce. So as you've seen, I threw in some minced garlic, and I'm just going to cook that around for about a minute, and then I can go ahead and add in my 2 cups of heavy cream, and I'm just going to take my silicone whisk and mix all of that together. And once that is nice and bubbly, you can go ahead and start to add in your cheese. So I recommend using a good quality Parmesan cheese. I get them at Walmart in the specialty cheese section. I buy it by the block, and it's like less than $5. I don't think that's too bad, and it's just so incredibly worth it. And I do shred it myself, and I would say I add in about 1.5 cups, something like that. And once you add this, your sauce will start to thicken up quick, which is what you want. And at this point, I have my temperature on the stove as low as it can go. I don't want the cheese to burn or anything like that, or for things to start separating. But all that's left to do is to hit it with some salt and pepper, and that is it. So easy. All I'm doing now is just adding in about 1/2 box of some cooked and drained fettuccine noodles. This would be enough sauce to cover a whole box of pasta, but we like our pastas really saucy in this house. And plus, I'm going to be adding in the chicken that will soak up the sauce. So in there, that juice that I added in was from the chicken that accumulated on the plate. That was the cooked chicken juices, by the way. But I just sliced up the chicken, tossed it in, and that was it. So good. If you have never made homemade Alfredo sauce before, you got to try it at least once. It is life-changing, and it really is simple. And I just served it with a garlic knot. To end the week, we went to my parents' house, and my dad made us dinner. He always has corn on the cob on the stove in the summer. And this is a vegetable casserole. It's one of my favorite things that he makes. I had just pulled that from the fridge, but when it first comes out of the oven and it's all ooey and gooey and bubbly, oh, there's just nothing better. He also made like one of those Smithfield pork tenderloins that are already seasoned, and then some garden fresh cucumbers that were soaked in salt water. It was super good. But that is going to wrap up this video. I hope that you felt inspired, and maybe I could help you a little bit with your meal plan and make things go smoother for you. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.